Greetings, and welcome to the Academic Decathlon Speech Rubric Training. First and foremost, thank you for being here. Thank you for volunteering. These programs would not be possible without individuals such as yourself. Again, thank you. Now let's begin. In case this is your first time judging an academic decathlon competition, I'll give some brief background. Academic decathlon is the Olympics of academia for high school students. Traditionally, a team will compete with 9 students in 3 divisions. We have our honors division, or A students, scholastic division, or B students, and varsity, or C students. In recent years, schools have been able to allow additional students to participate. They compete in a variety of different events, which include art, music, language and literature, etc. The interview and speech events are subjective, while the others are objective. During the speech event, there are 2 sub-events. There is a prepared and an impromptu speech that students deliver to a panel of 2 to 3 judges. Both of these speeches are timed. Let's look at some specific rules for the prepared speech. This topic is open and selected by the decathlete, which is then approved by the coach. It's original work created by the student and cannot be a reuse of a speech from a previous year. Depending on the region's rules, students may sit, stand, or choose this year. However, traditionally, students are supposed to stand. Depending upon your region's rules, students may or may not be allowed to use a lectern. However, the state competition prohibits the use of lecterns. It's a timed speech between 3.5 to 4 minutes long. And there is a penalty if a student goes above or below that time limit. There's no courtesy time given for finishing a sentence after the time limit. The student is allowed to use note cards, but they're not allowed to read those cards directly. Gestures are common in the speech because it's hard to deliver a successful speech without them. However, they may not use props or a costume because it's not a performance. Let's take a look at the rules for an impromptu speech because they're different than the prepared speech. They can be shorter than the prepared speech with only 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes long. Again, there's a penalty if the student speaks too long or not long enough. There's no courtesy time for finishing a sentence. The student will take 1 minute to read a set of impromptu topics that they will be given. They select the topic and prepare their speech. They do these things during the 1 minute time. Note cards may also be used, and a lower score will be reflected if there is a heavy reliance on these note cards. At the end of the event, the note cards should be destroyed. Let's look at the guidelines for speech judging. It's important to remain consistent with the process for every student. When looking at our scoring, be sure to be fair, objective, and consistent with each student. Begin your session with each student at level 5 and adjust up or down depending on the delivery. The score should be reflective of the actual performance. If they do a good job, they deserve a good score. On your evaluation form, be sure to record your marks correctly and completely. This may look different depending on your region's methods of competition. Try to maintain a relaxed and positive atmosphere and listen attentively. Be sure to smile. At the end of the session, refrain from giving the student any leading comments, positive or negative. Be sure to wish them best of luck on the rest of their competition if you'd like. Let's look a little bit more closely at scoring. Again, be consistent. Score every student by the rubric, not against each other. We're not ranking the students. Be sure to be fair and give good scores when good scores are due, but also score accordingly. You're scoring their performance, not the student's effort. The student may try really, really hard, but they don't deliver a good speech. During the competition, judges are not to discuss their scores with one another because it's not a collaborative process. So what is a reasonable score? In academic decathlon, each event has a maximum possible score of 1,000 points. In the other objective events, it is actually rare for a very good student to score above 900. But give credit where credit is due. A poorly delivered speech may still be a very well-developed speech. An impromptu speech is less likely to be polished, like a prepared speech. An excellent impromptu speech, however, may seem prepared. On your speech evaluation form, you should have 11 total marks when you are done, 7 for the prepared and 3 for the impromptu. 1 mark is for speech penalties. Let's look at the speech rubric for a prepared speech. The speech development pertains to how the speech is structured around a purpose and includes an opening, body, and conclusion. It could be supported by examples, illustrations, facts, and figures. When looking at the effectiveness, how was the speech received by you? Was the speech objective clear? Did the content relate to the purpose? And does it hold your interest? When looking at correctness, we should assess the proper use of grammar and punctuation, pausing where appropriate. Pronunciation and slang may also be appropriate. When looking at the appropriateness of the actual speech, we should assess the word choice, the tone and focus of the speech, and if the student is repeating words that they shouldn't. Does the language fulfill the objective of the speech? When looking at the speech value, are they sharing something meaningful to the panel? Their ideas should be fresh or presented in a unique fashion. The meaning may be delivered in a serious or even humorous fashion. When evaluating their voice, what are you hearing? How is the voice being used? Are the inflections appropriate? Are the rate and volume of the voice appropriate? When looking at the nonverbal components of the speech, we're looking at everything besides the voice. What is the physical presence of the speech? Is their attire neat? Some students will actually wear business attire. However, it's important to remember that students come from a variety of social, economic backgrounds, and we're not here to judge them, but their appearance should be neat, cleaned, and well-groomed. Does their movement support the intent of the speech with natural gestures, expressions, and body language? Let's take a look at the speech rubric for impromptu speeches. When looking at the content, does it refer to the subjects or topics addressed? Is the student delivering it originally? Are the ideas being conveyed properly? Is there a nice organizational flow to the speech? When looking at their delivery, how is the speech brought to life? Do they use appropriate movement like natural gestures at the right time? Are they using body language to reinforce content and ideas? Do they use the appropriate tone and volume of their voice? When looking at the overall effectiveness, we're looking at how the speech achieves the purpose. Does the verbal communication deliver the message? Does their nonverbal communication translate the message for you? Our last mark on the evaluation form is for speech penalties. There's a timing violation if the student goes over or under the allotted time. Did they go over or under the allotted time on both speeches? Prepared speech only? Impromptu only? Or no penalty because they stayed within the allotted time frame? Be sure to mark no penalty for no penalty. When looking at some additional notes, it's important to remember that the types of speeches may differ. Speeches could be formal, speak on historical topics, done with a sense of humor, or they may tell a personal story, and they may convey a range of emotions. They may speak on a breadth of speech subjects. So when looking at the speeches that score the best, our 9s and our 10s, they should hold your attention, make valid points, and they should be delivered in a way that captures your attention. These speeches should blow you away and leave you wanting more. Good speeches are 7 to 8s or 6 to 7s. Overall, they could be good speeches. However, they may not score as highly in all of the areas of the rubric. In conclusion, thank you again for volunteering, and I hope you enjoy your time participating in this event.